Good morning, Mr. Flores.
Good morning.
There have been reports of PCOS machines rejecting ballots. Can I get your thoughts on this?
Well, we are not in charge anymore of the technical support, so the exact statistics are now in the hands of COMELEC. Now, what we have seen from media and our rounds around the voting centers, there are cases where this rejection is caused because of a jam that happens when many ballots accumulate vertically in the box and they don't fall down. So it's important that in that case the BEIs just check if there is this jam and maybe even do a little shake so that these ballots fall into the bottom of the box. Otherwise, the new ballots that come in will be rejected. That could be one cause. Another cause of that will be, of course, that the wrong ballots are being fed into the PCOS machines. So it's important that the BIs check the precinct ID printed on the ballots and make sure they correspond with the PCOS machine, because even if you use the ballots of the next door precinct, they will be rejected. So, and at the end, we will need to hear from COMELEC on their own findings. But I have to remind the public that this will happen. There will be indeed cases of PCOS machines that will break during the day. We're talking about 78,000 machines distributed in 7,000 islands, so it's inevitable that some of them will fail. But of course it feels very pressing when that happens in your precinct, because you have, I don't know, 400, 500 voters waiting outside to cast their vote, so it becomes very stressful. In which case I recommend the BI to remain calm, follow the instructions that is in the handbook and in the training that they had, and without panicking, the call center, the National Support Center, where they will receive instructions. In the last days in the testing and sealing, I was reading the news, in many cases the BIs will call for a replacement before they even finish going through the whole troubleshooting, and in most of the cases then they got the machine running, but they had already requested a replacement, and that's something that needs to be avoided, as stressful as the situation could be.
So with your explanation, are you saying that it is human factor and ballots that caused these jams?
No, there is a combination. There will be machines that indeed will be broken, and then, but in most of the cases is basically the BIs and the technicians still not getting the hang on how the PCOS works, because let's face it, they had a very small training a couple of weeks before the elections. You cannot expect them to be all of a sudden IT experts, right? So in many cases that happens. In 2010, we did replace about 400 machines on election day. So this means is that at any given time during the day, you will have 10 or 15 precincts where there will be, let's say, idle time, because either they're trying to fix the PCOS or they're waiting for a replacement. And those 10, 15 precincts at a time feel very stressful, because of course voters are waiting outside, it is hot. So people, I beg their understanding that this is natural in an automated elections. I've been in more than 20 elections around the world. And this same situation is happening in the US, in Belgium, in Brazil, in India. So it's unfortunately, but the good news is that COMELEC has all the contingencies in place. They have the replacement machines, they have the call centers, they have the supervisors in the field that will give support to the technicians. So there are all the contingency measures to overcome these problems as they arise.
Yes, Mr. Flores, our anchor, Mr. Mark, will ask you a question.
Yeah, of course.
Mr. Flores, can you hear me?
Yes, hello.
Mr. Flores, in 2010, the people manning the PCOS machines were your men, were Smartmatic people. This year, it will be COMELEC's personnel manning or managing the PCOS machines. How sufficiently trained are these personnel?
Well, actually in 2010, it's the BEI who man the PCOS machines, but there is what we call the PCOS who is in standby to help the different BEIs, and there is at least one technician per voting center, where there could be more than one BEIs or more than one precinct in one voting center. Indeed, in 2010, Smartmatic provided these support technicians in the voting centers. and Comelec now overtook that role. So now we're talking about BEIs that were trained by Comelec and DEPET to take over the role of the support technicians. Now, as far as how that training was done, we were not involved, so I cannot really comment how that training was done. I know that we trained Comelec over the last years on how the system works, and the instructions and the handbooks and the troubleshooting. So now it's up to Comelec to implement that technical support correctly.
And that your services were retained by Comelec as consultants for the PCOS machines. Do you have sufficient men to troubleshoot in case some of these machines don't work and the problems can't be handled by the local technical personnel?
Well, there is a Smartmatic personnel in the National Support Center to advise Comelec on how to deal with several situations. Indeed, our role was a consultancy role, so we basically were advising Comelec in their plans and their preparations. But we don't have people on the field. Smartmatic has no technicians around the country, basically just here in Manila, sitting next to Comelec. Comelec has the final word in the technical support.
These machines have been on standby, have been in warehouses since 2010. Do you think they will still work perfectly well for today?
Well, these machines indeed were warehoused, but they underwent two different hardware acceptance tests by Comelec. Once in 2012, when Comelec purchased the technology, they tested each single one of the machines, and then this year when they were configuring the machines to be deployed, they also tested each single one of them. So they all passed this test, but like any hardware, they are prone to break down or fail, so they will be, like I said very candidly, there will be PCOS machines that will break throughout the day. And this is within the expected, and it's worldwide normal in automated elections. Like I said, in the US, in Brazil, in Venezuela, in Belgium, in India, you have to replace machines during the voting day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Flores.
Yes, Mr.
Thank you
Flores.
very much.
Early this last week, there have been power outages here in NCR. I want to know, are the PCOS machines ready in cases of power outages?
Well, by default, the PCOS machine works with the electricity coming out from the outlet, and at the same time, there is a battery that is plugged in as well. So if there is any power failure, the PCOS continues to work without interruption using the batteries.
Yes.
Now, these batteries were purchased by Comelec through another company, so we were not involved at all. But the good news is the way this was designed is that you can use basically any motorbike battery available. So even if the batteries that provided by Comelec will fail or they will be discharged or anything, the good news is you can go to, let's say, any tricycle, take the battery, and the machine will work.
So the power outages will not be a problem in canvassing and voting of ballots?
They should not, and in the case of canvases, I understand that Comelec also deploys gensets. So there are batteries with the PCOS machines and gensets with in the canvassing and consolidation servers.
Well, this year, how soon can we expect to proclaim the winners?
Well, it will really depend on the transmission, right? Remember in 2010, all the results, or basically more than 95% of the results were there in the first 48 hours. Now there are other procedures that could delay the proclamation, such as waiting for the overseas voting, and depends really on what the procedure that Comelec will implement. When it comes to the data in the servers, most of the results will be there within the next 48 hours. Even tonight, Comelec should have enough percentage of precincts to give a projection of where the results are going.
Okay, maraming salamat. Nakapanayam po si Smartmatic President Cesar Flores.